So now for the fun part, I would like to introduce Brandon Fink. He's a CFP, and for those of you that don't know, that's a certified financial planner. And Brandon is in all the way from Boston, and who saw Brandon last year? Ah, great. So you have a little bit, you know a little bit what you're going to be in for. So I'd like to pass the baton.
Thank you. Good evening. And thanks for having me back. Many of you might remember I run a wealth management practice and I help my clients become financially successful. And today we're talking about climbing your ladder towards personal and professional success. And when I got the topic, I thought about success. What even is success? What does it mean to be successful? How do I know if I'm successful? Why do I want to be successful? What is success? I don't know if I know the answer. I thought I did. I remember years ago, I got a phone call. A gentleman called my office. He said, "Brandon, I heard you help people become financially successful. And I've heard about these people called millionaires. I've seen them. I've read about them. I've heard about them. I think I'd like to be one." So he came into my office. We saved some money. We invested some money. He inherited some money. Not but a year and a half later, he became a millionaire. And I said, I must be a good financial advisor. I did this in a year and a half. But for the first time in his life, at the tender age of 38, he became depressed. So how good of a financial advisor was I if I helped my client become depressed? And it was at that point that I learned your net worth does not necessarily equal your self-worth. But there can be a relationship between your personal, professional, and ultimately your financial success. But it's not so much about the money. When I think about my client, who's a successful entrepreneur, has a lot of money in the bank, has a nice house, has a nice car, is that what makes her deeply fulfilled and successful in her own eyes? Or is it the fact that she started a company 20 years ago and she now has the opportunity to become an example for young women in her community, including her own children? I'm interacting with a gentleman who grew up in Iraq, had his first child during the Gulf War. His baby almost died because all he needed was an incubator. His brother's infant child did pass away. And at that point, his mission became simple. He wants to create low-cost, low-resource incubators to reduce the infant mortality risk in third world countries and even the US. He might make millions of dollars. He might make billions of dollars. That's not what will make him successful. It's going to be the impact that he will create on the wider world. So I think about this paradox of success. I asked you to think about, what does success mean? And who came up with this definition of success? So we think about, we're running after and we're chasing these goals. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be partner of a law firm. I want to start a company. Who came up with this? Did you come up with it? Was it your own personalized definition of success? Or was it somebody else's? So if we're talking about becoming fulfilled, if we're talking about feeling successful, how is it we know that by achieving something that we've never experienced before, how do we know what we're going to feel? My client assumed that when he had $1 million, he'd feel happy. But he had never had $1 million before. He couldn't go back to years prior when he was a millionaire and say, oh, at that point I was happy, and now I'm not a millionaire, and if I'm a millionaire again, I'll be happy again. We don't have any evidence. We're basing it completely off of someone else's definition of success. So who defines success for you? Now, some of you have gone through a healthy process of discovering it for yourself, but if not, who defines success for you? Was it TV? Was it movies? Was it your parents? Is it your spouse? Is it your friends? Who came up with this definition of success? And is it any wonder that so many of us, we wake up in the morning and the first thing we think about is, I didn't get enough sleep. You roll over, you look at the alarm clock, and you don't have enough time to get to work. And then you don't have enough coffee, and you don't have enough money, and you don't have enough stuff. We don't feel fulfilled because so often we're chasing someone else's definition of success. So very much I believe that to a degree society has stained the word success. So I want to talk about how do we take it back and put our own definition on it. We were very much told by society that if we have, whether it be money, a nice house, nice stuff, at that point we can become fulfilled. We can become happy. We were told that achieving financial success helps us achieve fulfillment. But what I've learned in my practice is that it's the opposite. Becoming fulfilled helps you achieve financial success. So if becoming fulfilled helps us achieve financial success, then the question must become, how do we get to be fulfilled? And fortunately, psychologists, much smarter than me, have come up with this. And they've surveyed and talked to millions and millions of people, and there's some commonalities. One of which, we all have a deep psychological desire for certainty. We think about the car that we drive, the job that we have, the spouse that we have. As much as we complain about them, we probably want to know that they're going to be there tomorrow. We want a level of certainty. We want to know that things aren't going to be taken away from us tomorrow. Certainty becomes tremendously important. But we also need uncertainty. We need a little variety. We need spice in our life. We can't have the same old plain chicken for dinner. We need something different. But everyone is different as far as what provides them level of certainty or uncertainty. And very much what we'll talk about tonight is operating in our wow factor, finding our unique ability. What is it we can do that is innate, that is easy for us, and very much we can take risks in those areas. Take this, for example. I'm public speaking. I'm told there's 50 of you here, and it wouldn't matter if there were 500 or 5,000. I would be just fine with it. But some of you don't like public speaking. Some of you, public speaking might make you nervous. Some of you might be nervous just watching me public speak. So here I am doing something that I might argue provides a level of uncertainty, but it is very much something that is within my natural abilities. Yet I'm not going to jump out of a plane. I'm not going to go swimming with sharks. To each his own, we all have areas that provide us certainty and ultimately uncertainty. And then there's significance. We want to matter. We want to become important. We want to know that we matter to our friends. We want to know that we matter within the place that we work. We want to matter to our family. We all want to be deeply significant. And we also want a sense of love and connection with those that we spend time with, our friends and our family. And what I love about this is achieving the love, the connection, the significance. It's not about us. It's about other people. It's about our impact. It's about what we do for others. It's about being selfless, not selfish. In growth, imagine certainty, uncertainty, impact. It isn't enough just to have it. Imagine that you know you're going through a process of improving it and having even more certainty and having even more growth. These are the things that really matter, irregardless of our quote-unquote societal definition of financial success. This is the kind of stuff that they have surveyed that actually makes people feel successful. So what I want to do is I want to unpack the title of the speech in which I'm giving, because we're talking about climbing your ladder to success. The first thing I want to look at is climbing. This idea of climbing. Many of you have climbed before, whether it be a mountain, whether it be a rock wall, and you can understand that climbing is strenuous. Climbing is difficult. They didn't say take an Uber ride to success. They didn't say take an elevator to success. We're talking about climbing to success. So you're doing something that's difficult. Have you ever asked why? Why am I doing something that's difficult? Why am I going on this journey that's hard? What's the payoff? Why am I doing this? And inherently, if we're climbing to the ladder. I would guess we're climbing to the top of the ladder. What is the top of the ladder? What does it mean? What happens when we get there? How do we know it's where we want to go? I talked about my client who became a millionaire. That's where he thought he wanted to go. We look at celebrities, for example. We say, oh, they've made it. Now they're rich. Now they're famous. And they become depressed. So where is it that we're actually going? And why are you going there? If we're talking about climbing on top of a mountain, are you climbing on top of the mountain so that people can see you? Or so that you can see the world? Because I've interacted with a lot of people, and I find that those that are doing it to look good so that they can stand on top of the mountain never quite reach that level of fulfillment that they so deeply want to have. It's about the wisdom and the impact and the person that you ultimately become. Now, some of you in this room probably have kids and grandkids, and some of you get in the car, and you've been driving for 20 minutes, and the kids and grandkids start to ask you, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And you say, no, I have GPS. We have another 2 hours. We've been driving for 20 minutes. But you get upset at your kids, but you do the same thing. Not in the car, but, I've been going to the gym for 3 weeks. Am I skinny yet? I've been at this job for 20 years. Am I partner yet? Am I a millionaire yet? We ask the same things. And I've interacted with people that ask the same question. And from my experience, I'll tell you, if you're on an are we there yet journey, you're never going to get there. Yet will never arrive. So the goal becomes, how is the journey the destination? That you're so in love with the process, it doesn't matter. You're not going anywhere. You're just in the moment. You're enjoying. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's all connecting. So this is about discovering our journey and figuring out what it is we really want. One of the things I want to talk about is there's a movement started by people in my generation called the FIRE movement. And what it's about is financial independence, retire early. So all these people got together and they said, I've seen my parents work, and then one day, presumably, they get to whatever age they get to and they retire, and they've got a few years to travel and do what they want, but they said, it's not for me. I want to become financially independent earlier. I want to start saving my money. So they start working and they say, I'm going to save 10% of my income. I'm going to save 20% of my income. I'm going to go as high as saving 50% of my income. And I'm going to save so much money that by the time I'm 38 or 40 or 45, I'm going to get to retire. And I'm going to be able to do all the stuff I've always wanted to do for 30 years, and that's the goal. Some of what I do is retirement planning. I see these commercials and these magazine covers of these couples in retirement. They're sitting, they're holding hands, they're on this white sanded beach. They're supposed to be in retirement. They've had enough Botox. They look like they're in their 40s. And this is supposed to be the American dream. We work like crazy, and then we retire to this beach with our significant others, and we stop working, and we throw all of our cares to the side. But I've had clients that have done this, and inevitably, a month, 3 months, a year later, they call me, irregardless of how much money they have, and they say, I think I want to go back to work. I'm shocked. I thought this was the goal. This was the American dream of retirement. This is it. I get to this point and I just relax and this is all that I've always wanted. But that's not who we are as human beings. We've struggled our entire existence. We're not meant to chill. Someone else told us that's what we wanted. But think about those levels of becoming psychologically fulfilled. Think about leaving an impact. Think about growth. Think about love and connection. In that reality, how much of that is ultimately taken away? So how do we enjoy the journey so that psychologically we're hitting on all cylinders when it comes to that regard. Well, many people look at this idea, well, I have to start with my passion. What do I love to do? What am I passionate about? But what I've learned is that passions can leave us very paralyzed. Because to what you were saying earlier, we look for these perfect type situations, these scenarios, they really don't exist. So what ends up happening is we're waiting for this perfect utopia, but it doesn't get there. So we just don't start. And we're looking for these things that we love to do. I want to have a career based around what I love to do. But did anything about those deep human needs have anything to do with loving what you do? It's about the impact. It's about the growth. It's about ultimately those elements. So what we want to think about is...
Brandon?
Yes?
Would you mind pulling the microphone a little bit away from you?
A little bit away.
A
Well,
little bit away.
all right. How's this? We better? Well, you're in the front of the room. How's the back? All good?
Okay, good.
All right. So we'll think about when was the last time in your life someone might have said, wow? And I want you to think about whether it's this year, this decade, 3 decades ago, when was a time you did something so naturally, it was so innate to you, that the reaction with those around you was just, wow, this is what you're ultimately meant to do. And when was the last time you said, wow, that you were in a situation where everything just clicked and you felt deeply fulfilled? And we want to look at this as evidence and how to ultimately recreate it within our life and within our careers today. Another example is, what's something that we could teach? What's something that we know well enough, that we enjoy and understand well enough that we could truly teach it and other people would actually learn? It would actually benefit. So we want to look into our past and we want to think about what ultimately is that. You know, a client of mine was a software engineer for 30 years. And he didn't like it one bit. You know, he didn't like Sunday nights because they turned into Mondays. He didn't love what he did. And he got to the point that he retired and he looked at something that he could do that no one else could do and was so special and unique to him. He made cheesecakes. And he made these cheesecakes and he loved making them. And every time someone would have a bite of his cheesecake, they would say it's the best cheesecake they've ever had. So at the age of 65 or so, he said, you know what? I'm going to start selling these cheesecakes. So he found, by looking into his past and discovering something that was unique to him and something that he enjoyed, all of a sudden there's no discussion on stopping what he's doing because he loves it. He enjoys it. And now he's able to leave an impact. And it's helped connect with other people within his community. So he becomes very fulfilled, irregardless of how much money it's ultimately making. So we want to think about these moments in our life where we've done these things and we were fulfilled, and why was this the case? What was it that made us so fulfilled? Was it the people that we were with? Was it what we were doing? You know, I put a quote up there that everyone's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to spend its entire life thinking it's, what did they say, stupid? I was going to say an idiot. Stupid. It's going to spend its whole life thinking it's stupid. We're not stupid, but sometimes we spend our time doing the wrong thing. And we get so wrapped up in a career chasing something that we don't really know how we got there, but it was never in our unique ability. It was never our wow factor. It was never what we were really supposed to be. I was interacting with a woman years ago, and her parents wanted me to talk to her. Her father was a very successful executive at an oil company. Her mother was a very successful entrepreneur, had 2 siblings that were partners in New York City law firms. And her parents wanted me to talk to her about what it is that she should be doing for her career. And she's talking to me, and she says, you know, I think I could work with my dad. You know, he's an executive at this oil company. I could climb that corporate ladder pretty quick, but no, I don't know if I'd like that. I'm going to be an entrepreneur just like my mom. I'm going to think about, you know, what's an exciting, sexy career I could get into, and I'm going to build a company around it. But I've heard being a business owner has a lot of risks, so I think I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to become a partner of one of those law firms just like my siblings, and I'm really going to make it. But she was looking in all the wrong places. So we explored, she looked introspectively, and what she discovered was her time as captain of her college soccer team. And she remembered how much she was able to impact her teammates, and they became the best versions of themselves.
Ah. Notice that, guys? The best version of themselves?
Punny.
Or not.
They became the best versions of themselves. And do you know what? She enjoyed it too. Because guess what? She was leaving an impact. She had love and connection with everyone that she was with. That was a time in her life where she was truly fulfilled, where she was truly happy. So why not build a career out of it? She opened up a fitness studio. And lo and behold, this was something she was naturally very good at. Her clients were thrilled. She was helping them become soccer players. They were hitting all their goals. Is it any wonder that the business was profitable within a short period of time? So at that point, she says, Brandon, we're profitable. I should probably open up a retirement account. I should probably start saving my money. I said, no. We're going to look at things a little bit differently. We're going to focus on that unique ability that you have. We're going to focus on your wow factor, and we're going to have you master your craft. You're leaving an impact. How do you leave an even bigger impact? How do you become better at something you're already good at? And that was exciting for her, because there wasn't anything exciting about opening a retirement account. There wasn't anything exciting about investing in the stock market. This was about doing what she already loved to do and was so good at. So the question for her was, I'm leaving this impact. What if I enabled other people to also leave an impact? And that's when she started hiring employees, and they became trainers, and they impacted even more women. And the business grew. And over time, she became financially successful. But it wasn't because she was focused on the finances. She was focused on her unique ability, how to help others, and how to ultimately leave an impact. And that's really what mattered. How do we master that wow was always the focus. You know, I was reading something a few weeks ago, and it really caught my attention. It was about something called work-life balance. And it was this idea that you don't want to give all of your energy towards your career. You want to save some of it for your fitness goals, for your personal relationships, for your family. But why does it have to be that your career takes your energy? What if your career gives you energy? And that was very much the case with her, because she would work all day, but the fact that she was impacting other people and doing something that was oh so natural to her, she had energy. And when she came home, yes, after a long day, yes to her kids, yes to her spouse, she was the best version of herself. She had a lot to give. She was fulfilled. She could be the mother, the partner, the significant other she always wanted to be. It wasn't about giving her energy to her career. It was about using it as a launching pad so she was consistently energized in all the other areas in her life that mattered so much. So we want to strip away that societal noise. We want to recreate that definition of success that someone else gave us. And there's questions around, where do I start? You know, am I going the right way? You know, there's a lot of things that I might be good at. There's a lot of wow factors. You know, I'm a great negotiator. Maybe I should be a lawyer. But I also like taking care of people. Maybe I should be a nurse. Maybe I should be a teacher. You know, we have these ideas to the point of being a perfectionist. There's not necessarily going to be a perfect place to start, but we have to start because we have to understand that you very well might change your mind 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. But at that point, have you not learned a few things? Have you not understood how to set goals and smash through them? Have you not understood how to motivate people? How to really connect with people? And how much easier is it to then pivot and do something else? I think about someone like Ellen DeGeneres. I think she started her career doing stand-up comedy. Now I think she's funny, but she doesn't do as much stand-up comedy anymore. But what she learned and the connection she made helped her. But she started somewhere, and I would guess she started within her unique ability. And she wasn't chasing someone else's definition of success. She was doing what made sense for her. So it all works together. Think about those personal relationships. Think about who we can be to our friends, to our family, to our spouse, to our kids when we're truly fulfilled. And think about the person we are when we come home from jobs and they drain us. And we feel like we have nothing left to give. And we're not enough. Is it any wonder that that's when personal relationships can be sacrificed? It all goes back full circle. And then financially. Sure, you do what you're good at. You get better at it. Of course you can make more money. But there's another element to it that I want to look at. See, I talked last time I was here about these Joneses, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. I talked about them. And I talked about those that have the nice car and the beautiful house and the swimming pool in the backyard. And the fact of the matter is, I know many of those people. And many of them are deeply fulfilled because they create impact. And they have a great sense of love and connection. And they're happy people. But there are some of those people out there in the world that they buy those things, they do those things because they're deeply unfulfilled in other areas of their life. And they're chasing something. And they're chasing what they don't feel naturally in their personal and professional relationships and in the rest of their life. If you're truly fulfilled in what it is that you do, I find that there's not necessarily a need as much to do this. Because you are happy and you are successful. So I want to end on a note. You know, I was looking at the Olympics a few years ago, and I was noticing something about these Olympic athletes. What I was noticing is that they're in awfully good shape. I was looking at how strong they were, some of the swimmers with their six-pack abs, and I said, wow, they're in shape. They look good. But I thought about, why is that? Why is it that they're in such good shape? Is it that they wake up every day and they think, I have to get in shape. I have to look good. I need big muscles. I need a six-pack. Or are they focused on something else? Are they focused on maximizing their performance? Are they focused on their teammates? Are they focused on being the best versions of themselves that they could possibly be? And the byproduct of that is they become in shape. So many people that they consider themselves to be successful, not the societal definition of success, they know deep down that they're successful. They know deep down that they feel fulfilled. It wasn't that they were always focused on money. What they were focused on was, how do I leave an impact? How do I get better at something that I love? That's what really made the difference. And that's where I want us all to focus a little bit more on. I said the same thing last time. You know, there's a lot about today you're not going to remember. You're probably not going to remember 20 years from now how bad the snow was today. Though for Buffalo, I'm not so sure this is even bad. Boston would be shut down for a week, but you guys are good at this. I don't know. So there's a lot you're not going to remember about tonight, but I want you to get one or two things that you can take and you can use in your career, in your personal, in your professional relationships, that you can ultimately take to make your lives a little bit better. Thank you.
Want to ask a question?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Brandon? It's very unusual. This group does not have questions.
Where does the guy sell cheesecake?
So,
I would love to bring him to Chican and have him give some cheesecakes so we can...
he's going to love this because I'm going to promote him right now. But he does live in Atlanta. I don't know if anyone here ever goes down to Atlanta. And we have tried to ship up cheesecakes. It didn't work so well the first time, but we're going to ask him again and see if he wants to reconsider. Or we'll do this in Atlanta. But that's where he is.
Any other questions?
I'm just curious, you talked about people, their perception changes this time when they finally hit that goal, whatever that financial goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had a client where where they did achieve that financial success and they were like, that's it, that like,
Yeah.
that's what I was going for.
Yeah, because it was the right definition of success. They thought about it the right way. They very much defined it as far as what is important and what matters to them. There's many, and this is very much what I try and do with my work. I try and get people focused on what is it that would actually make them happy. And when you think about it the right way, and some people do, they have great guidance, they figure it out on their own. It's not everyone that's chasing the wrong definition of success. There's plenty. But, there are people that really understand or they figure it out over time. What is it that's actually going to make me happy and successful? And what are my values? And how do I make sure that my finances and my life support my values and what's important to me? So yes, but we have to define it correctly initially. And that's important.
So I see another hand in the back, or somebody just fixing their hair? No? Go ahead, Sally.
So my question is, you're in finance, but yet you're such a motivational speaker. Do you get that from your mother, or do you because this feels a lot like my very first SheCan meeting when I sat with your mother, and so I'm just curious how you got to be, so motivational. If you had some training or.
His dad's pretty good too.
Thank you. That's a nice compliment. I don't know. I don't know. Thank you.
One last question.
What book would you recommend for financial success to somebody who wants to learn more about ways to go about it?
Oh, boy.
So I should have started a long time ago.
So I've heard there's great books, and I read. The challenge is I haven't looked for a book like that, so I can't speak firsthand. I read. I love to read. I've read a lot of great books. Around financial success.
Or if you have like a favorite.
A fa-
I mean, I feel like,
Thank you. You saved me. Do you know what? Yeah, I haven't read I think it's Unshakable or something. He's written a lot of books, and I'm sure someone's read it and loved it or didn't love it. Let her know either way. But I have heard good things, and absolutely.
As far as the book is concerned, the best all-time is Think and Grow Rich.
Yes, that's what I was gonna ask. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Are there any podcasts you recommend? Listen to on finance?
Yes. Podcasts around finance. The one that I like a lot is an entrepreneur, Gary Vaynerchuk, is very much around. It's fantastic. I agree. He's very much about just doing what makes you happy and how to. He's great. I would recommend it. He's all over the place. He's
It's not so clean though. If you get offended by.
Yeah, he has some 4-letter words. But
He's great.
Gary V. If you just put Gary V, it will come up. Yeah. Maybe we'll send this to him, and maybe he'll come.
Bring cheesecake.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, well, how about another round of applause?